Hello, everyone, and welcome. It is Thursday night, so it is time once again for the Tank Show, where we spend some time acquiring new knowledge. I do not have my buddy pal and co-host Chattanooga Ed here with me tonight, as usual. He is actually off enjoying a family event, so I hope he has fun there, though he will be sorely missed. Uh, just so everybody knows that in his place tonight, Kenny and I believe Danny as well from T.A.N.K Aquatics will be going after this show wraps up. So definitely go over there and hang out with them. I know it's going to be fun as always. Hello, Carlos Diaz and all those others in the chat. We're going to give it just a second to let YouTube do its thing and send out the notification. I do have a poll in there, as I'm sure you probably saw coming in, whether or not you all want to hear a rant or if you want me to just get on with the darn show already. So I see rant keeps going up, but we'll give everybody a couple of minutes to vote on that. It has been a very, very busy day here. We got in some shrimp. A huge thank you and shout out to Shelby and Grant. I'm like, really? Shelby and Grant at the Garden of Eater. They sent me some beautiful shrimp. I don't know if I should tell you what they are, though. If I should make you wait for the video, but it's a line. It's a strain that I've really been wanting for a while. Similar to something I've kept in the past, but just a little different. They came in, of course, super healthy, and there will be an unboxing video coming from that, so you can see A, what I got, and B, how they ship their shrimp. On top of that, I did also acquire quite a few new things in terms of live food cultures. So today we added banana worms, vinegar eels, scuds, and Daphne and Pulix to the list of live foods, along with, of course, the baby brine that we're hatching out. Roll on down here before this chat gets stuck on me. All right, there we go. Now it's live. Like what they said, it's lonely in here. Yeah, John's still going. Oh, I see them waving, so they're headed out. But it's been busy. As soon as I get done with this, I'm going to get all of those cultures into their appropriate containers, tubs, and things of that nature. But I'm super happy it goes into this. So and the green screen is going crazy tonight. I tell you what, I've been sitting here for 45 minutes trying to fix it. I screwed something up. It's not even technically green screen; it's digital green screen, but it might need a software update. The last time it did this, the software needed an update. But where I moved my lights for filming and then moved them back, it's doing all of this, which it normally doesn't do. Those of you all that are here regularly know. But so I mean, hey, how about this? Who wants to keep the what has turned out to be god awful green screen going tonight? And I'll have to figure out the update for that later. It usually doesn't do all of that. And who wants to see the mess and shenanigans behind me in the fish room / studio? I see the hashtag KG Tropicals. A huge thank you to John and Lisa over there at KG Tropicals, fishkeeping.com for the send over. It's always very much appreciated. And I love those two. I hate having to miss out on the last little bit of their stream coming over here to get ready, but you gotta do what you gotta do. I always go back and catch it on the replay. Hey, there's Science Gal Aquatics. For anybody that does not know, if you've got a question or comment you would like us, well, I say us, I'm so used to having Ed, like me, to read live on the air. Feel free to throw that in the chat. If you put the @ symbol in front of Fish Room Fever, that does highlight it for me. That way it sticks out a little bit because sometimes the crowd goes wild. Let's see, 89% of people want a rant. Okay, I will give you this rant, and it's kind of a two-part rant. It's two subjects that are both very much interwoven, I feel like. Part of it is the massive divide, and as I see questions and comments, I'll jump out and grab those. But part of it is the massive divide that we find within the hobby. And I think the biggest well-known one has always been between salt and freshwater. And I don't even know I have these in because I don't have anybody else here currently to listen to. But anyway, that divide has always kind of bothered me. It's we're fish keepers, whether you're saltwater or freshwater. I understand it's a different area. There are different things involved, but we're still fish keepers. I've heard about and have witnessed some of how it can be with some of the clubs and things. But it really stood out to me going to the Triple Crown, just how big that divide also is with a lot of really smart people doing really dumb things. I'll put it that way. A lot of people in clubs that are just so self-segregated, and they're like, well, if you're not, I'm just use one for example. If you're not ACA, then you're not a fish keeper. You're not in the right club. Nobody cares about live barriers. Nobody cares about killifish, whatever. And I find that to really be a shame because we are all fish keepers, and that's kind of the second part of the rant is the death of the hobby. Now, I don't say that in terms of I think the hobby is dying. It's obviously died off some now that the Kodash vid restrictions lifted up and things of that nature. Which again, shout out to whoever brought that to the Triple Crown, especially if they did it on purpose or knowingly, I guess I should say. But um, if you know who you are, then you know who you are. I don't know who you are, but you might. But anyways, since that stuff is lifted and people can go out, the hobby has, fallen back down a little bit, I guess you could say, but not much. Here's a fun statistic for you, just to tell you how big our hobby is. If you go on the government websites and you look at the import information, and it lists, I think right at 6,000 different categories on there in terms of what's imported, you will find that in 2020, freshwater, and this is just freshwater, this doesn't even account for the saltwater, but freshwater ornamental fish they came in the top 50% of all things that we import into the United States. They came into the top 50%. So one way you could look at that, and the way that I tend to look at that, is that to the American people, freshwater fish are more important than half of the things that we imported into the country that year. Now, I haven't looked at 2021. I did look at 2022. Don't ask me why I didn't look at 2021. I kind of saw the 2020 stat and then came back and refreshed and looked at what it was for 2022. But the numbers so far on that it's still technically 50%. It's like 50.17% last I looked at it, which 2022 I guess would be a rolling number still, but it's right there at 50%. So even still, did the hobby really die down too much if it's within a percentage point of being that highly imported? It didn't. And the reason I say the death of the hobby is because I really think that the mindset of it being an aquarium hobby leads it to be somewhat segregating, not just to the point of different clubs and types of fish and things like that, but also in the perspective of individuals. It can be a very lonely hobby, and thank goodness we've got 174,000 people, 174 of y'all watching, and I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. But there are a lot of people that are not online. There are a lot of people that may not know that this is the thing, quote unquote, or that it's as big as it is. And I think a lot of that comes from the fact that it's viewed as a hobby. You see it everywhere, and it's been that for decades. You've got hobby books for fish keeping. What I mean by that is, if you look at fish keeping, fish are the third most popular pet in the United States. And I'm sorry I don't have the numbers for a lot of other countries because I know not all of you are from the US, but I primarily focused on the US. If you look at the United States, it's the third most commonly kept pet behind, of course, as I'm sure you all could guess, cats and dogs. But I feel that's pretty significant. There are a lot of, other things that people get, reptiles and things like that. There are a lot of people keeping fish, and there are a lot of fish being brought into this country. I feel like, though, because it's looked at as a hobby, and this is the way I kind of like to explain myself as clearly as I can, try and be concise. Oftentimes, when we go into work, we don't, a lot of times, don't talk about our hobbies with coworkers. So if you're somebody that's really, that's into fixing cars, that's your hobby, or you collect stamps, or you collect baseball cards, you don't get a lot of coworker discussion or random conversation in the parking lot type discussion regarding hobbies. You don't typically go into your coworkers and show them your phone and go, "This is the new baseball card I just got," or "This is the newest set of stamps." And I feel like that is why looking at it from a hobby perspective, it can make it somewhat limiting in terms of making those connections. Whereas if you think of it from a pet perspective, which is where I like to go with fish keeping, and why I say, death of the hobby. If you look at it from a fish keeping or keep fish keeping perspective, which I love that John made that a thing, because that's what got me on YouTube, was to help people keep fish keeping, to stay involved with the hobby, because I had people coming to me and asking me questions, and me helping wherever I can. Again, I've never claimed to be an expert, and I never will be. I'm an amateur professional, or professional amateur, whichever one you'd like to label me as. But I feel like, a lot. How often have we had that coworker that comes in and shows us the picture of their new cat, or the picture of their new dog, or their dog just had puppies, things of that nature. And so I try and really look at it more from a mindset and a conversational piece as pet keeping versus as a hobby, because I feel like that opens up a lot of windows. That is the reason, not to throw the promote out there, but that's the reason that I put "Ask Me About My Fish" on the back of the Fish River Fever hoodie, and I think that's been great. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had start up because somebody will walk up and say, "Hey, tell me about your fish," and then I go into fish tanks and all that, and we have a conversation about it. Every once in a while, you get that random person that might think it's about fishing, which is why the new merch is going to have probably "Ask Me About My Aquarium" or my fish tank, just for that specificity, to avoid the really random, every once in a while, awkward conversation. But conversations are still fun, anyways. So that is some of just what I have seen as someone that wants to keep people in the hobby. How do we do that? Well, we get them in touch with other people. I find is one of the best ways to keep people in the hobby. It's not for everybody. It is nice to have some solace, and there are people that do it specifically because it is a solitary thing. Um, but I think you'll find the majority of people enjoy sharing their fish keeping with others. A huge shout out to the East Tennessee Aquatics Association, the club here in Knoxville, Tennessee. I finally got to make it to my first meeting, and is also one of the members there, who is where I got the live food cultures from. Huge shout out to Cassandra. I'm not sure which one it is. I didn't technically get to meet her. Mrs. Fever picked those up while she was out today. But I'm hoping to meet her at the next meeting. She's awesome. She did a talk. If you go on the East Tennessee Aquatic Association YouTube page, she did a talk on there about live foods. And Sean Peck, my buddy from Peck Tech, he had her on his YouTube channel, went over to her place and filmed her setups and talked live foods. So really good stuff. But I digress a little bit. But within relation, I find that people do better when they have a group of people that they can talk to. They can, consult. They can share their experiences and things of that nature. And so that's why I really try and push looking at fish keeping, as pet keeping, versus as the hobby mentality. And again, I know there are always going to be variations from the general group. So there are people that it doesn't apply to them. There are people that they're just here to breed fish and be left the heck alone. And that's perfectly fine. It's a great hobby to do that as well, and I encourage you to do that if that's what you're looking for. But I really want to try and grow. I want people to open up their minds and think outside of the hobby. Try and get out of the hobbyist mindset. Get it further away from stamp collecting and closer towards cat and dog ownership, owning pets. I am an outgoing person, I guess, not even necessarily by nature, but simply from the fact that I did customer service for so long. I was a manager for so long. Did a lot of customer service jobs. Did appliance delivery, which is customer service in people's houses. A lot of those people being upper end and kind of looking at you as the help type of thing. So you have to be on point with customer service and be outgoing and be able to talk to people to do those things, which has kind of given me this, which is a whole nother weird thing we won't get into. So point of that being, it's typically easy for me to start up a conversation with someone and, talk about fish or mention fish. I typically have my mind is going to where I can usually incorporate something into a conversation that can steer it in a direction to just, throw something out there and see if it's a conversation that they're interested in. I've had a lot of coworkers, employees, customers over the years that were into fish keeping, and you don't know until you strike up these conversations with people. I guess that is my rant. I could go deeper than that, but we've got 170 people still hanging out, and I've been ranting for about 15 minutes. Now we've got a big old fat super chat from Whip's World over here. Let me scroll down a little bit on this other screen. Whip's World with $20 super chat. Ooh, I've got my screens mixed up. Let me see if I can do this real quick. I'm going to move y'all up there. We're going to do this little dance. Whip's World with that $20 super chat. I'll raise the roof a little bit. Thank you so much, Whip. And my buddy Whip said, get Fisher Fever to the Clash Fund, a challenge offered. Who can put their passion where their wallet is. It cut off on me. There we go. I'll find it in the chat here in a second. Whip, a huge thank you. That's not necessary. I've had people do that before, and I always feel really bad because I've never asked anybody to fund me going anywhere. But I appreciate the sentiment. I appreciate the $20. That goes to a lot of, that goes to the things on the channel. Just the StreamYard came out yesterday, and it was $50. So things like that really help. Appreciate the support, my friend. And of course, Whip's World being a member of the Fish Room Fever family of channels, meaning I 100% support that guy. I believe he's a good person, and he falls kind of in line with what we try and do here. Appreciate you all the way around, my friend. Tom Patterson using that membership milestone super chat. I've been a member for 21 months. Throwing out that peace sign. Thank you so much, Tom. And our buddy Kenny E over at T.A.N.K Aquatics, who once again is going to be going after I wrap things up tonight, since Ed is not available today. Using his membership milestone super chat. He's been a member for 29 months. And I know that makes the Zen Ginger salty because she had a slight lapse. So he now is the longest running member on the list, technically speaking. Even though I know, Zen, you were the first. Miss my Fisher and Fever member emoji. I can throw that back on there. I need to work a couple of things around on the emojis. I did that update on them. And so I think I'm going to throw that one back and pull another one off of there. But yeah, I appreciate the feedback, as always, from all of you, and especially the members, as to if I change something around that's part of that membership that you all are throwing money out there for. And, a decent bit of you all will say, hey, I want this back, or get rid of this. I'm always glad to do that. I'm going to throw the chat back up here. Normally I have it on this screen so I can see Ed down here, but I moved it down here for tonight because I figured, why not? It's closer to the camera, and I forgot I couldn't get to my happy dances. So there's a happy dance for both of y'all, also members. Appreciate you very, very much. And we got Mark Strelson. Thank you so much, Mark, for the $10 super chat. It says Clash Fund. I appreciate that. I really, really do. Darn you, Whip's World. You're gonna make me blush a little bit for starting the thing. And Mark, you throwing the money out there to support it. You're all awesome, and I thank you so very much for that. Let me give you a little. You got 2 thumbs up. We got the other one down here on the mic, or on the mouse rather. This thing. All right. Wanted to grab those before I dove into the chat. Get that back. Move that back down here. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section if you're watching the replay, or if you are in the chat now. Let me know your thoughts on perspective, what you've seen. I can only speak from my perspective, what I've seen, people I've interacted with, and what I've observed. But those are just, that rant was based on my observations, as is all of any advice I give is based on all my observations and my experiences, because that's what I've got to work with, right? See, Science Gal saying hello. Good to see you, Carrie. All right, let me roll back up here because my chat just jumped on me, as I figured it probably would. Boom, lots of highlighted stuff. Membership pause due to charge fail, but I am here. I can't see who that is. Let me end the poll here. Then I should be able to see. That was Pegasus Arena using her membership milestone super chat, which I don't know why that's not showing on the. I know why it isn't. This thing jumped on me on the other screen. I'm going to take care of this real quick. Fish Tank Dad, thank you so much for that. For being a member. Been a member for 8 months. Let's see the wall. Okay. I'm going to get these over with. I'm going to show you all the wall, and I'm going to run through the chat here and start taking some of these questions and comments. Got 160,000 people hanging out watching this. I appreciate you. Normally, I've got Ed here to shut me up, but I talked about doing the rant maybe, so I figured we'd throw the option out there. But seriously, Fish Tank Dad, thank you so much for being a member. 8 months. Time sure does fly. Got Finn Wiggles with the $10 super sticker. Super sticker. A cute little fox holding a little heart there. Finn, thank you so much. Always a huge supporter of the channel. It's never expected, but it is always very much appreciated. And I thank you so very much for it, Finn. I'll give you that dance right there. Goofy dance. How about that? And then we had Pega's sister Rena using her membership milestone super chat. Been a member for 20 months and was just saying it was paused due to a charge fail, but I'm here. Rena, I appreciate it. I never hold it against anybody. If they drop off of the members list, life happens, things happen. You know, I will always look at that. And maybe it's just my business and customer experience perspective. But anytime I see that the membership number goes down, it's what am I doing wrong that I could fix some value on? So I don't ever hold it against anybody but myself. So never feel bad if you have to cancel a membership or you have to put one on hold or anything like that. You're not hurting my feelings as much as it does really and truly help. I ain't gonna hold it against you. All right, let me get my chat back over here. It's a little different setup tonight. Let's get rid of this green screen. All right, we're gonna switch cameras. Everybody ready? Settings here. And ta-da! I guess I could turn those lights on. Let me turn the fish tank lights on behind me here. That is my mess. That is my office / fish room until we get the move done, which we're through phase 1. We're working on phase 2. Have run into a couple of legal financial snags, but we're getting there. We're getting there. You know, this is one of those things. When I mentioned it at first, I said it may not even start happening until 2023. Fortunately, it's been progressing a little bit quicker than that. But it still looks like there's not going to be a building up until 2023 in terms of the new fish building. But we'll get tanks moved in and stuff before that. All right. Now that I did that, I have to grab my chat back again. I keep doing that. There we go. There we go. All right. Sure didn't miss any of those rolling through here. The furthest up I can get for highlighted questions or comments is at 9:39 p.m. Eastern time on my timestamp here. That's from Ken's 3D and Aquatics. Is Fish Room Fever? I can say my 3 LFS say that Aquatics is super slow right now. It definitely is. It's also that time of year. So anybody that's in the business, not just in fish store terms, but also in YouTube, you see it like spring and summer. It's the time of the year where people are going out, they're doing vacations. You had kids out of school. It's that part of the year people don't invest nearly as much in the hobby, either financially by going to their local fish stores, ordering online, things of that nature, or by spending time online watching videos and things like that. I've always said, and several other people with much larger channels than my own have said, that if you've got like a really, really, really good video that you think is like going to be the one, first off, it's probably not, because that's the way Murphy works. But second off, hold it till the fall when things pick back up, because getting a good video or getting a video to do well and getting good sales at fish stores and things like that for that part of the year is we're finally wrapping that up. And as it gets, colder and the kids are back in school and things like that, people will spend more time indoors. They'll spend more time with tanks, more money on their tanks, more time watching YouTube. It's just a cycle. It's an annual cycle. People got spoiled a little bit with the whole human malware, as Bentley calls it, because there were so many people sitting inside, couldn't go anywhere. We're ordering stuff online. We're watching lots of videos and kind of forgot that that's a thing. Cameron Carter just wasn't highlighted. She kind of remind me of Nick Swartz, and I don't know right off the top of my head who that is, but I'll have to check that out. Don't know what they look like, but I'm going to say thank you anyways. I appreciate it. Patty's Petite Tank says, I've been complaining about the use of this word hobby for years. Fish Room Fever, let's do this. Perfect. I hope that you could agree with some of that sentiment. What was that? Moby Dick of Dopeness says, I love boring people by talking about my tanks. They leave me alone and I can get back to my tanks. There you go. Absolutely. That's one way to do it. It definitely is. This group right here, I feel like is not part of that problem, if you will, in terms of the hobby versus pet keeping. But I feel like this group could be part of the solution because this would be the 160 some odd people that are here. This would be the group that would be open to talking to other people and wanting to strike up conversations and trying to get people to be more inclusive because you're here, you're hanging out, on the interwebs, listening to me ramble on about fish or the hobby, about fish keeping. So yeah, this would be the group that would be part of the solution, and that's why I would approach you all because I'm sure that you all, if you're not already, would be able to help expand our base of other fish keepers that are out there that don't realize how big the fish keeping hobby is. Liquid Zoo OnlyFins says that a boy Paul Statera, we got to keep Fisherman Fever on his toes. Yes, you do. And Paul Statera was saying to completely distract me, add at symbol Fisherman Fever to your question or comment. It definitely works. Definitely works. All right, roll on through here. Jenny Lynn, good to see you. It was great to meet you. Saying hello. Hello, Jenny Lynn. Let's see. Liquid Zoo OnlyFins says, of course, John took James' name of keep fish keeping. He didn't take anything. He didn't take anything. That is a sentiment that a lot of very passionate fish keepers, which, tend to end up on some sort of social media platform because we're like, hey, how can we help? And this is a great way to reach people that we'd never talk to in person. He has that same mindset. That's actually what I wanted to talk to him about was how do we, the whole keep fish keeping thing. How do we keep people in the hobby? How do we expand our kind of group, if you will? How do we get to more people? I could rant on that forever, all the way into the fact that, club memberships are down, which, could come in part to the fact that a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times you run into those very specific semi-biased clubs that don't care about varying aspects. They only care about that one fish or that one species. But that's a whole nother rant. We won't get onto that one just yet. Let me get through the comments and questions here. That way I don't get behind. Roll that, make sure I haven't missed anything. I see we had Jay Olivers and Lefty doing some membership milestone super chats. Love you guys, and I'll get to you here in just a minute. Mel Phillips says, can I get a tiny pleco to go in a 15-gallon tank with purple coolie loaches and tetras? I got a major algae bloom in the last week, even with perfect water parameters and lower lights. So yes, you could, but it's not going to help with the algae necessarily. If you were looking specifically for a pleco to have a pleco in the 15-gallon tank, you could do a clown pleco. Some people might say that's too small. It's kind of on the lower edge. I've kept them in 10s. They're really one of those fish that, in my experience, one, you never see them. I know plecos are like, you never see any plecos. That one, you don't. I walk out there, I see my zebra plecos, I see my snowball plecos, I see my bushy nose and all the others, my vampires, and so on and so forth. Those clown plecos, I actually drained down a tank one time and had just that last little bit of water that the siphon wouldn't take out, a half inch or so, and was cleaning out leaf litter and things out of the tank. And it was actually hiding underneath where I'd taken a Merriman moss ball and cut it in half and made a little dome. It was actually hiding underneath there. That's how much they like to hide in particular. In terms of the algae, I mean, you're on the right track. Perfect water parameters, and you've lowered the lights. Let me go back here. I think you mentioned you got the major bloom last week. So what I would do is I would stick with the lower lights. A crazy thing you could do if you're looking for something to throw in there to get rid of green water, you could get a Daphnia culture. If you know somebody that's got Daphnia will just obliterate green water. That being said, I would kind of stay the course you're at. I don't know exactly where you've lowered the lights to. You could try lowering a little bit, but the thing is, getting rid of algae and algae blooms and things of that nature, a lot of times we want it now. Like a lot of other things in the hobby, we want it now. We want that fish now. We want that tank cycled now. But really, it's a process, and that process tends to take a couple of weeks when we're trying to fix it. And we're trying to rebalance, because that's ultimately, as you're aware of, and I can say safely from the way that you phrase that and what you've brought up, we're trying to achieve that balance. Somewhere that balance got out of whack. Now you can also try. I found it helps a little bit. It doesn't necessarily clear it perfectly, but I have done like my DIY water polisher, where you just take a power head and you stick, a bottle on it, and then you shove that full of polyfill really, really tight. This stuff, which I can show you. Well, we'll talk about some of the stuff in the background too. I usually don't show you all of this. Take some of this, you shove it down in there. And the reason I like doing that versus adding it to a filter is because when you're putting it on that power head, you're pulling water through it. And I find that you can get a lot more to force through if you've got suction to it versus if you're putting it in a filter and you're pushing water against it, because it doesn't take long when you're just pushing water against it. Water's going to find the easiest path and it starts to try and flow over it and around it. Depending upon how you've done it, you can end up with water going into the floor if you've set it up in a, I guess you could say, careless way. So I really like that method because it pulls the water through and it forces that stuff to get sucked up in there. I've got this side. That is green water. That little spin this way, as you can see, that is green water. That's my Daphnia. I've actually got Daphnia in both of those, and I culture green water outside. They'll eat the crap out of that. They love it. I of course have active yeast too to feed them, and then you spirulina, but that's a whole nother thing. But I intentionally keep that by having a light on that 24/7. So I would probably give it a little bit since you've already lowered the lights. See how it plays out. If it's not going away, drop the lighting way down. Again, you could add Daphne in there. One, it's going to be a great food source for fish that you've got in there, and two, that the Daphne really like to eat green water. They can clear a tank depending on the size and how many you put in there to a day to a couple of days, no problem. So I would go with that versus adding a pleco. So yeah, hope that covered both sides of that, Mel. And that was probably a little bit more in depth with a little less answer than you wanted, and I apologize. Liquid Zoo says, will you make one that says, don't talk to me or ask me about my fish? I do, don't talk to me on the front and then ask me about my fish on the back. Ask me about my fish tank. Yeah, we could do that. Bruiser CB saying, hiya, Bruiser. Great to see you. Appreciate you being here. All right, let me get rolling through here. Get to this highlighted stuff. Moby Dick of Dopeness says, are those glowfish as nippy as regular skirt tetras? Yes. So they have, in my experience, all of the same attitudes, tendencies, needs, requirements as your typical tetras. I've not seen anything that would be indicative that being the glow variant with them being genetically modified change their attitude or anything of that nature. So yeah, if you're going to get them, I would treat them just like you would your standard skirt tetras. All right, let's roll on down through here. There was Kenny E's chat. Pegasus Arena said, met the new owners of my LFS. They seem like a really nice people and are interested in the plans you had going with old owner. I also have a lead on a possible lead for new place too. Well, that's awesome. That is awesome, Rena, and it's great to see you. I hope the little ones are doing well, and I appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. Hey there, Diego. Petzotics saying hello. I hope your friend bought that piranha, Diego. I hope they did. He was sending me some pictures. He's like, "Is this a piranha?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's a piranha, all right. Get that. Ship it to me. I'll take it." Again, thanks to Mark for that $10 for that Clash fund. Appreciate it. Hip Hop Hillbilly. So, of course, it jumped on me right as I got to you. I'm gonna get back up here though. Don't think it's out of range. I don't. It might be. There we go. Hip Hop Hillbilly says, Fisher Fever, is it normal for peacock gudgeon to flop and rub against stuff? Only ones doing it in zero ammonia and nitrate of 10 parts per million. Excuse me, nitrite of 10 ppm. Nitrate of 8.4. Or hold on a second. There's a number missing there. The pH is 8.4 to 8.6. Oh, zero ammonia and nitrate. There we go. And then nitrite, and then nitrate has 10 ppm. It's been a day. It really has. That's why Mrs. Fever went and picked up these live food cultures that I've got sitting over here, because I was like, I'm acclimating shrimp. I think I've got 7 videos that I'm working on. If you include the culturing of these, I was up until 4 in the morning filming the aquascape, part of an aquascape video. I've got one I'm doing for the LFS where they just started carrying Aquarium Co-op products. I've got one more that I don't even remember what it is. I've got the footage on the computer here, but I know I had another project I'd started. I've got a couple different product reviews that are in the works. So I think I've got 10 videos in all that we're kind of working on right now. But since we get done here, I'm going to be listening to T.A.N.K Aquatics, and I'm going to be setting up all these cultures. I may film them tonight, or I may go ahead and get all the stuff in the appropriate areas and film them once I do the next, actually take a culture from them. But we'll see. I may half and half it. Who knows? Back to that question, though. Is it normal for them to flop and rub against stuff? So, hip hop, first off, I don't think I've ever kept peacock gudgeons before. I've observed them and I've watched videos with them and I've seen them in the pet stores. And there's some really cool, well, fish, but also people that keep them. But I don't recall in all the years if I've ever kept them. Now there are a lot of fish that I don't remember from a decade ago that, like, I've looked at little home videos of, my fish tanks and go, oh, I forgot I even had those. But I don't know that I've ever kept them, first of all. I will say that I have noticed with a lot of different fish, sometimes they flash and do things like that just to do it. The one concern you may look into would be something of a parasitic nature, which would be, I guess, like the gill flukes. So that could potentially be something. I do know that can be a symptom of that parasite, but it's not always indicative that they have some sort of fluke or worm just because they are rubbing. So if you've only got one fish doing it, I mean, the other thing is, there are so many variants of this hobby. I've had fish that did a dumb thing. They got spooked. They shot into the glass and they get kind of wonky. Kind of like if you've ever had a fish that jumped from a high tank, either straight to the floor or you were netting it and jumped out of the net. I've had some fish knock themselves silly before and kind of flop, and it looked like this is not good. So I think I may have seen that once or twice in that. There are a lot of variants, but your two main things would be it's just doing a thing, and somebody might go, hey, that's breeding behavior for that specific thing. I honestly don't know on the peacock gudgeons. If it was something of an issue, typically that rubbing or flashing is going to be from like a gill fluke. So that would be something to kind of look at and narrow it down a little bit. Let me roll down back through here. Jay Oliver's Guppies and Aquatics using that membership milestone super chat. Been a member for 22 months. Says a great crowd here tonight. You get 2 thumbs up, John Oliver, and a happy dance because you and the family knocked it out of the park in Dallas, where Ed and I had to back out and head home due to the Kodash bid. I heard that you and Science Gal, which of course Jesse as well with Carrie, that you all just you did all the things and you took care of it, you got it done, and you made it happen. So a huge shout out to you. I appreciate you, not just as a member, but as an awesome fish keeper and another awesome channel. Saying it's a great crowd here tonight. Yes, it certainly is. Certainly is. Aquarium is maintained by Andy. Fish Room Fever. Wow, 170 watching. Yeah, I ran about 20, 30 of those off, which is to be expected. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. But yeah, awesome crowd. 141 still hanging out watching. Appreciate each and every one of you all. If you made it this far and you haven't already, my one ask for the night for my hour and a half of give would be to hit that subscribe button. Maybe hit the like button. Who knows? If you don't like it, hit the dislike button. But push some buttons. See what happens. Andy, it's always good to see you. I know you've been around hanging out with the Fish Room Fever family for a long time. From way back in the day when I was just getting started. All right. Rin, I'm going to screw this up, Rin. I apologize. Rin Posh says, okay, so here's a question. I'm starting a betta tank and want to add 2 mystery snails. It's a 10-gallon tank. How long do you think I need to let the tank cycle before I add the snails? So what I would do, I'm going to try not to go on to my cycling rant here. I don't typically tend to look at tanks in terms of what most people look at for cycle. Though that is a good, it's good to know about the cycle and know how it works. The way I like to get a tank prepped for new fish, if it's a new fish tank, is to get the tank set up, get the light on it, get my timer on it, because I really feel like timers are crucial for lights. The Wi-Fi plugs that Chattanooga Ed gave me, I've got timers programmed in all of them, and get that tank going to where, yes, it is cycling technically, but it's also going to start allowing different algae and organisms and things to grow. Once you start to see some of those things happening, then your tank is ready, because it's starting to hold forms of life. Other than that, to give you a technical answer based specifically on cycle, I would have your test kit, whether that's the API Master test kit or the Aquarium Co-op test strips, which is what I've got. I do cut them in half. And even Corey said that he cuts them in half. I think he even did a video on it. So you get a couple hundred of them for next to nothing. Test that tank. Look at where your water parameters are. Because there are a lot of variables that, I can have a tank, quote unquote, cycled in a day or so, no problem. But I'm also using filter media from other tanks. It's bringing in that biological bacteria. It could be tricky to give you like, hey, wait 5 days after setting up a tank. I will say that those mystery snails are pretty hardy, and I that's one of the things I miss having, and I need to get some more. I used to breed them, and I love those guys. They're my favorite snail, I think. So they would probably be fine. Excuse me. Just about from the get-go. But honestly, it's one of those things that patience is only going to help you in this hobby. So if you can be patient and just wait until, if your tank cycled and ready for a betta, then you know that it's cycled and ready for those mystery snails. And some people may be like, it's snails, who cares? Throw them in there. If they die, whatever, that's fine. If that's your perspective, that's your perspective. Anytime I have a life form, I try and take care of it, unless it's feeder food, which that stuff's gonna die when I give it to the fish. But that would be my thoughts on it. You're probably safe if it's been going for a few days and you've been trying to get the cycle going. You've probably got some beneficial bacteria in there. They're not going to create this super huge, massive bio load. So, layman's answer, probably safe to go ahead and throw them in after a couple days. Technical answer, check your parameters, look at what your all your numbers are, your stats. My personal thing is, if I was like trying to start one fresh and I was worried about it, let it run, get some algae and stuff to start to form in there, that baby's ready to go. No, I hope that helped, Rin. And thank you for the question. Thank you for being here. Very much appreciate it. Lefty3213A, but a member for 27 months. Thank you so much, Lefty. Says, let's go 25 months, baby. Well, you got 27 already. I know YouTube does this funny thing where when you're looking at it, it tells you a different amount of months. But yeah, you already got to 27, my friend. A huge thank you for that. Matthew says, have you ever been mountain biking? It's super fun and risky, but fun. I posted a couple photos the other day. Probably should have taken more photos of the almost 90-degree hill drops. I have not. The extent of my professional bicycling career is taking a fall off of the 7-foot wall. And part of the reason I grew a mustache, and I always have a mustache, is I've actually got a really big scar right here where my lip got busted open in a Y, where my teeth came through my lip and met the concrete. And that was the end of it. It was one of those, back when the Jinko jeans were the fad, so they're hanging down there. They got snagged in the chain, and the bike whipped, and my face hit the sidewalk. Don't really do bicycles or skateboards or things like that anymore, unfortunately. It looks fun. I have a vast amount of respect and appreciation for the people that can do that stuff. I'm the guy that is going to end up hitting a tree at a very high speed and flattening my face out if I try it myself. So I stick to fast cars. That's my safety thing. I don't even do motorcycles because I know I'll hurt myself. I do fast cars and that's it. All right, roll on down here. HEPA Aquatics. Good to see you, HEPA. Says, for us here in Canada, a large part of the fall off is the cost of imports of food and even fish. Cost of stuff is ridiculous. That is good to know. And I appreciate you sharing that information because I honestly don't have, I mean, I guess technically I have access to it. I have access to the world because of the internet, but it's not something I had honestly looked into or heard a lot of our fellow Canadian fish keepers talk about. Yeah, that is a shame that there is that fall off and that there's an increased cost to things. I know that definitely can deter some people from getting into the hobby and, maybe push some people out that were already in the hobby and now they're like, this is getting crazy. It may be one of those things where maybe you go from 10 tanks to 5 tanks or, 3 tanks to 1 tank. It's a shame to hear it, but I appreciate you sharing that valuable info. HEPA. Can't talk tonight. Words are really hard tonight. Ken's 3D and Aquatics says, I'm very outgoing and I talk to people all the time about fish and aquatics. Very seldomly do I actually meet someone who keeps fish beyond their kids' goldfish type person. Yeah, you do get that. But I've gotten a lot of the other, and it may just be where I'm at. Tennessee, I never would have thought of it as being full of so many fish keepers. But there are so many of us. We got the Tennessee Fish Mafia going because there are so many fish keepers here. It is ridiculous. It's crazy for being a landlocked state to have that many people keeping fish in glass boxes. But it's awesome. I love it. All right, let's keep a rolling and a strolling here. Stephanie McGittigan, thank you so much for that $5 super sticker with that cute little hiya fox. Appreciate that very, very much. Thank you. Very much appreciated. And it's good to see you. I hope you are doing well. All right. Whips World says, Mark is the only one to accept the get fish from fever to the glass challenge. Come on, Fish Fam. You can do better. We need James there. Whip, I love you, brother. And I love all of you all. And I appreciate all the support. I'm not, y'all are awesome. I would never ask people to do that. But you people are nuts and you like to do this stuff anyways. So thank you. All right. Jumped just a little bit, but I don't think too bad. Let's get back up here. There was Stephanie's super sticker. Thanks again, Stephanie. Whips World, that was his. We need James there. This is Zen Ginger. Thank you so much. Our longest running member and our awesomest moderator there. Throwing out the link if you did want to join and become a member and get access to that behind the scenes stuff. That being said, it's already 10:18. I'm going to get to the bottom of these real quick. And then I've got a surprise for you all. Members, in case you didn't see it, which you probably didn't because YouTube doesn't like to share things with you all until well after the fact. For the members, in the community tab, I posted the link if you would like to come be a part of tonight's show and come up on the panel. If you've got a channel, you're welcome to tell everybody a little bit about it in case they don't know who they are or know who you are. I hope they know who they are because they're here hanging out with us. But if you don't know, you don't know. But that is there. So I'll give anybody that is a member that wants to be a part of that a chance to click on that community tab and grab that. And if I see some people backstage, we'll bring them up. If not, we'll just keep rolling with questions and things. Mel Phillips says, fish for fever, the water isn't too green at all, but the algae is covering half of my plants. I have 6 purple coolie loaches, tiny babies, and 9 neons, and 2 baby mystery snails. Okay, so if it's not, my apologies. For some reason, the way that I read that, and maybe it's just because I've been, like right before this, I was moving green water cultures around and getting Daphne into green water. For some reason, I misinterpreted the way that you put that as it being an algae bloom in the sense of the water column algae bloom. If it is just surface algae, that clown pleco is still not going to help. You really don't have, what's the best way to put this? A lot of plecos don't really do what people think they do. I don't really consider plecos part of a quote unquote cleanup crew. Yes, they can. Yes, they do eat algae. That a lot of them, that vegetable matter is important for their diet. But in the time that it takes for those guys to get in there and get the stuff out, a lot of the times, if you're trying to correct the problem, which I know you are with lighting, it kind of is taken care of before that fish can do the job. And then you also have to look at the fact of how much waste they produce. They really, any positive they do really is with plecos, I feel, offset by the amount of waste production and all the bad things, so to speak. Getting back into ammonia, nitrate, getting that stuff back into the system. They kind of just balance themselves back even, which is why I don't often recommend them for a cleanup crew. Now you could do just a 10-gallon. There is the good old thing of getting some smaller, like Siamese algae eaters, and then swapping them back to the pet store. Sometimes you just have to give them back to the pet store. I've seen people do that. There's some shrimp that can help. If it's blackbeard algae, which I don't think it was specified what algae it was, but Florida flagfish are wonderful for that. They could be a bit aggressive though. And you said your coolies are tiny babies, so I don't know that I'd recommend those. Honestly, if it's me, again, I'm just going to recommend keep that lighting cut back. If you don't notice any decrease over the next week in terms of the algae, or you notice it's getting worse, cut the light back even further. Your plants can actually go a significant amount of time, days and days and days and days and days, with no light at all and be perfectly happy. Whereas that algae, being a much simpler life form, doesn't do well. So that would be my thoughts on it, is keep doing what you're doing, keep the water parameters in check, and keep the light cycle low. If it's not getting better, lower it some more. And then you'll find that healthy balance. You'll get that spot where things are working well. And maybe throw a water change in there as well. Do a little, 20-25% water change. Sometimes you can have where a municipal source, if yours is municipal, we'll do like a flush or a cleansing, and you get some extra junk in the water that goes in there, and it can cause that algae bloom because now you've got ammonia and things coming in the tap water that you don't normally expect. I see Rena back in the background with that little bitty baby. I'm going to bring you up here in just a second, Rena. Mary Beth says my LFS just announced they're closing. I'm very sad. Mary Beth, I am sorry to hear that. I know that it can be tough times for fish stores, and it always stinks when we lose one. That's one downside of moving. Is I'll now be an hour away from Aquatic Marine, my local fish store, versus 2 minutes. So I'm sad about that, but we'll still be getting in there all the time. Delilah says, I enjoy seeing the live background. And we'll talk about that here in a minute and what we've got going on. Hip Hop Hillbilly says, all eating fine, not lethargic, and it seems to be all or most of all of just my peacock gudgeons. Fun to watch, was just worried. So if it's just your peacocks, and sorry, I thought you meant it was just one fish out of the peacocks. If it's like all your peacocks are doing it and it's just your peacocks, Hip Hop, I honestly, again, haven't kept them that I can remember. If I have, it's been over a decade ago. I would simply think that that was a behavior akin to that particular fish. That's something peacock gudgeons do. And please, if there's somebody in the chat, and I'm sure there is somebody with 134 people hanging out that is more familiar with peacock gudgeons, say, oh yeah, mine do that too. Or, hey, that's this behavior. One of the great things about this community is I bet about half the people in here, if not more, but I know at least half the people names have YouTube channels. They're knowledgeable. And not that the other half isn't, but there are some people in here specifically to help. That's why they're on YouTube. So always be checking. If you see an answer in the chat, don't hesitate to read what other people have in terms of advice. All right. Let's let Pega's sister Rena up here. Hey, how are you?
Hey.
Look at that little one growing.
She's 4 months now.
4 months. Wow, time does fly.
Yeah.
How have you been? How are things going around the house and with the hobby?
Well, we're currently at a shelter. Kind of sucks being stuck all in one room, but
I gotcha.
I'll be honest, I'd rather be here than having to spend $310 a week for a hotel room.
Yeah.
That's, for 1 month, that's like $1,200 that we can be saving for other needs like emergency cart repairs or saving for getting a place. Kids start school next week, so they're excited for that. I know I haven't been doing any streams lately on my channel, but once we get into a place and once everything is settled back down, I think I'll be able to do those for everyone again. I know a lot of people are probably wondering what's going on and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's completely understandable. You know, life happens to all of us, as I like to say, and nobody holds that against you. You know, you've got to do what you've got to do for the family and worry about the YouTube after the fact. So
Yeah. It does help having awesome friends like you and Ed and everybody else that are there to support me and offer tips and everything.
absolutely. Hello, little one. Oh, adorable. Adorable. Don't let Mrs.
Yeah.
Phoebe see the little one. That'll be a whole nother conversation. No, that's completely understandable. And I hope things get better for you soon. I really do. I know life has its trials and
Yeah.
tribulations, but you're tough, and I know you'll make it through.
Yeah, I've got
Um,
a lead on a place. There's a place called Sierra Townhomes here in town that they have a 3-bedroom that they're looking to fill. So I recently put in an application for us to try get in, and Kaya found something while we were at the first ever North Dakota Renaissance Fair here in Fargo.
nice. That's awesome.
And this is what Kaya found while we were there.
Oh, 4-leaf clover. Very, very cool.
Yep. She found that at the Renaissance Fair, and she gave it to me to hold on to for the good luck on finding us a place.
That is so cool. I love kids. Kids are
Yeah.
just their mindset. I feel like we need more of in certain aspects of the world. That kindness sometimes that you get.
Yeah. The innocence of a 7-year-old, it's like as you get older, where does that kind of innocence go?
Right. Absolutely.
Because I
Absolutely.
know for a fact I don't have that kind of innocence anymore. It's like, where does it go? The
Yeah.
innocence and the energy level, where does it go as
Yeah.
you get older?
The energy level, especially. I guess so. So let me ask you a couple of fish questions real quick. My first would be if you've even put thought to it, which with everything going on, you may not have. But my first would be if you do have like one tank that you're like, or one fish that you're like, I really miss this fish. What would that one fish be? Since you've had to kind of take down and reset things.
Um, One fish that I miss would be the goldfish we had. I really miss my calico, and I'm sad that they all died.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I do
That's
plan to um once we have a place again and I can set up tanks, I plan to have at least one shubunkin in my 29-gallon.
Well, that was going to be my second question was when you get into the new house, did you have something like one thing that you're definitely doing? So that answered that right there. That's awesome. That's awesome. And goldies are
Yeah,
really cute
I like
and personable.
shubunkins because they stay the size of like a regular, regular goldfish,
Hmm.
but they look like a koi fish.
Yeah,
So
I
they're like a
gotcha.
mini koi fish that you can keep inside 24/7, and they're really cool.
I
They're
like that
probably
thought
one of my
process.
favorite fish that are often overlooked when people go
Absolutely.
to pet stores. They often overlook the shubunkin because it's a type of goldfish.
No, that makes sense. I could see that. Yeah, no, they're definitely cute little fish. That's
Mm,
a good point that
Kaya,
you brought out right there.
Kaya told me that I should get angelfish.
I do love angels. I do love angelfish, definitely.
Yeah, I I asked her, is that because you like seeing James as an angelfish every time he does his streams? And she goes,
Mhm.
yes,
Yeah, I'm
they're
sorry.
pretty.
I've been a good bad influence there.
And
Oh
Sebastian
goodness.
wants to do something that Lisa from KG Tropicals does.
Okay.
Let's see, he's 6 years old now, and he wants to have his own little tank that is a beta sorority. My son wants
Very
to have
neat.
a beta sorority.
That's cool. That is. I love seeing the new generation get into the hobby. You know, we've got
Yeah.
quite a few young minds that watch this channel and come to the live streams, even though it's past your bedtime. No, I'm just kidding. And I love that. I love, you know, having that future generation coming up and being a part of it and mixing with other generations of fish keepers.
Yeah. Yeah, Kaya is not sure what she wants to have yet. And she keeps going back and forth between what she wants, between mollies or guppies or a betta or a new goldfish, or she can't make up her mind yet. So once we get the tank
Absolutely.
set up, it'll be interesting to see. But one thing I'm really excited for is my other half, Forrest.
Mm-hmm.
He has promised me that he will help financing me to get my tanks set up the way I want them to be set up the next time.
That's awesome. That's always nice when you've got the other half being supportive.
He's even stated whether that's fish or decorations or even plants in the tank, he will help me get it all the way that I want them set up. He will help me set them up the way I want them, which
Very,
is
very
really
cool.
awesome.
That is super awesome. I'm glad to hear that. And I know y'all will be back on your feet and into a place and showing fish in no time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
goodness.
bless you. Goodness gracious. Well, do you have any? I'd ask you for a tank tour, but that's not on the list for tonight's things. Do you have anything else you wanted to share with the people at home?
She's turning red. I'm gonna have 3 red hair, blue-eyed babies.
Oh goodness. Well, she is a sweetheart.
Hard to
Rena,
believe she's 4 months already.
it is. It feels like just the other day that, you know, you were like, hey, I'm 36 weeks. You know, we're going to have the newest Fish Fam member coming soon.
Yeah, right.
And now she's
The
4 months old.
countdown.
Yeah.
The countdown to when she was here, and now she's here, and it's like time's going way too fast.
Absolutely. Well, Rena, I do appreciate you coming up and saying hi to everybody, giving us an update on everything, and showing us that cute little one and how big she's getting.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Hi, little. I look forward to seeing
Bye,
stuff from you
guys.
soon, but take care of yourself and do what you've got to do. The Fish Fam will be here when you're ready. So
Yeah.
we will see you on the next one. For anybody that doesn't know, you can go check out. She's gone now, but Pegasus Arena's channel. I'm sure the mods have already thrown a link down there. All right, I'm going to get back in the chat real quick and answer some of these questions and comments here. We had Furlow's Aquatics. My buddy Furlow, what is going on? But a member for 22 months using that membership milestone super chat. Says, good to see you, James. Happy Thursday, my friend. Happy Thursday, as always, to you, Furlow. And thank you for being a member. Appreciate you very, very much. Get that back up there. Paul Stero just reminding people you can use the @ symbol in front of Fish Room Fever to completely distract me with your questions or comments. The Zen Ginger would like to know, did anyone take you up? Yes, we had the awesome Pegasus Arena took me up on coming up on the panel from the members tab there. Scroll back up. I knew that chat was about to jump on me, which is why I wanted to get back to you all real quick. Here we go. Hip Hop Hillbilly says, gave away my 55-gallon, looking into a 75 for my next one now. Thinking Geophagus, Tapajos, Rainbows, Angels, and a couple medium-sized plecos. Thoughts or concerns with that stocking? Angels. That is a mix that I don't know that I have seen before. Somebody's done it, I'm sure, but it's not one I've seen before. Now, though I have fallen in love with rainbows, and I spent pretty much the whole of the Triple Crown in rainbow fish talks. I still have not kept them. I've watched so much about them and seen so many beautiful fish, and still don't own any rainbows. But that's going to be a after we get moved thing. I'm trying to think. Usually, that is a weird combination. Hip hop Billy. Hillbilly. I'm gonna have to think on that. I'm actually gonna have to do a little bit of research to give you a good solid answer. Um, that's a weird mix. You got me on that one. I don't often say that, but you've got me on that. Feel free to chime in. Anybody in the chat, over 100 people still hanging out. If you've got a good suggestion or thought on Hip Hop Hillbilly's question, again, a lot of knowledge in here. We've got hundreds and hundreds of years of fish keeping knowledge right here in this chat. And I always look into that wonderful community resource for help and stuff like that. Mark Strelson, welcome to the team. Thank you so much for becoming a member of the Fish Room Fever family of channels. Get you a happy dance right there and a double thumbs up. I appreciate that. Means a lot. Welcome to the Fish Room Fever family. There is behind the scenes stuff. That's not the button I wanted to push. Okay. I didn't lose y'all. Good. There's, members only videos, posts and things like that. Of course, you get access to the emojis in the chat and on comments, which is the thing that I actually find people love the most. Is just having the custom membership emojis and the little badge. But there's a bunch of videos and stuff you could check out if you're ever wanting to look through that stuff. Welcome, Mark, and thank you. All right, rolling down through here. Too schooly. Really? I told you words were hard tonight. Too cooly for schooly. See, I did it with my eyes closed, so you couldn't say I didn't know what I was talking about. Been a member for 2 months. Huge thank you. Using that membership milestone super chat says, not sure what to say. Hi. Hey, how are you? Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you being a member. Thank you for that love and support. Always blows me away when people sign up to be a member of this crazy guy's channel. Love you guys, and I appreciate everything that you all do to help me out, support me, keep me going. All right, let's keep on rolling and scrolling here. I'm almost to the bottom. I want to grab the bottom because I want to talk a little bit about what we've got going on behind me since it's always hidden. Oh, there's the links for Pegasus Rena's channel. Again, thanks, Rena, for coming up, showing off that little one, giving us a status update on kind of what's going on with you, because I noticed you've been away from the live streams and stuff, like you mentioned. You hadn't been doing the stream, so I'm glad that you are doing well and that you're keeping a positive outlook. Matthew says, hopefully in a couple of years I can meet you in person at an event. Matthew, I would love that. That's awesome. I love to meet people. That is the biggest reason that I go to any of the events. Yeah, they're fun, and yeah, like I love the talks. It's Triple Crown or the go to meetings and stuff. I enjoy the talks at the local meetings. Shout out to East Tennessee Aquatics Association. Which if one of the mods wouldn't mind dropping the link to their YouTube channel, I'd really appreciate it. I try not to ask you all for too much, moderators, but I do appreciate all the hard work that you all put in. I think they were still under 100 subscribers last I looked, but they're actually doing something that I think is a big deal, and that's that they're publishing the membership meetings onto a YouTube channel so that all of these wonderful talks that we have are available to the world. So rant I won't get started on right now, but that's definitely something that I have a strong ranting urge about, is how do we try and capture some of the knowledge that's being lost in fish clubs, where that knowledge is only accessible if you've personally gone there and listened to it and then you remembered it, things like that. How do we get more documentation from knowledgeable people giving presentations that's accessible on a more global scale? So that's a whole nother thing, but go check them out because they publish all the meetings on there, start to finish, which includes the talk and species spotlight and some other fun stuff. Yeah, Matthew, that would be awesome. I love hanging out with fish nerds. I really, really do. Hey, Crystal's Pets and Plants, one of our longtime friends. Always good to see you, Crystal. I hope you're doing well. All right, I made it. Paul's saying to distract me, do that. Let me move the chat. Move the chat up there so I can see my screen. The overhead light's not on because it's horrible for live streaming. So here we've got the DIY brine shrimp hatchery right there. which is for anybody that missed me talking about that. Yeah, my back's still not to 100%. I really should have done that. That is, of course, I have the lid off of this thing. This is the other video I'm working on. So I've made these. These are the Extreme Foods fish containers, Extreme Fish Food containers. And I've made the box filter video that some of you all have seen. I make these little bitty breeder boxes out of them. And a lot of my guppies, I like to try and catch the fry when they first drop. And I'll stick them in here for, a couple of days, maybe a week, to give them a chance to grow out just enough not to be tasty snacks. Well, one of these my kids had gotten a hold of and they popped the screen out of it. So I just had it sitting around. And I was like, I've got the co-op brine shrimp. I got them from my local fish store who's selling co-op products now. So I'm sitting here. I've got my brine shrimp. I want to build a hatchery. Most of them suck. Pardon my language. Those that, are younger. Most of them suck because usually it's like 2 bottles inside 2 bottles and they're doing this and you're looking at where people are doing it and they've got a mess everywhere. And lo and behold, I found that these 1 liter brisk iced tea containers sit perfectly in these. And I mean, they, especially once you get the water in there, like they push down just a little bit and they sit perfect. Like I fill it and carry it through the house like this when I go to fill it up every day. If you cut it right about there, we're going to give you all the quick video. And I see Furlough's Aquatics hanging out. I'm going to bring my man Eric up here in a second. If you cut it right there, take some airline, make a gasket out of it on this little top piece that everybody flips upside down and puts in there and gets crap all over it. Put some airline around it, and then you sit it on top, like you can see right there. It then sits like this instead of upside down in there. You don't get brine shrimp eggs on it, and then your tubing and stuff runs out through here. It's perfect. I'm doing the video on it, but I had to share that one more time. So that's what we've got there. 30 seconds, Eric, and I'll bring you up here. No, don't throw that in the trash. We'll just throw it over there. Green water for Daphnia. Little 2.5 gallon, and then just a little vase. Mrs. Feber gives me hell because I say vase instead of vase. She's like, "Who do you think you are?" Little vase there. Got a Dania breeding project with no light over it, so you can't really see it. That is the new scape thing, which I did in a short and showed on every social media platform there is. I'm still working on it, but I'm having fun. I think I spent 7 hours building that so far. It's just got a little end repair in there. It's going to be for shrimp. That and that are guppy strains that I picked up from the Triple Crown. And then over there is some antlers I picked up at the Triple Crown. That is going to be for the where I'm putting my culture initially of the scuds. I'm going to get them going in there first. Let's see if this camera will do it. Not quite. Not with this light. Oh, there you can kind of see a little. The scuds are going to go in that bowl, and then they're going to go into a 20 long. And then I've got Daphnia, vinegar eels, and banana worms right there. And then all the crazy fish stuff. I've got all my scape stuff and all that. And all those wonderful things. So, the madness. Oh, I lost Eric. He said, "Forget you, Fish Room Fever. I'm not waiting for nobody. I am out of here." Well, Eric, if you pop up, I'll bring you right on in. Sorry, you may have been back there for longer and I just didn't see you. So Hip Hop Hillbilly says, oh, let me grab this real quick. Rena said before that, "Thanks for having me on. It was nice to give everyone an update on things. I can't wait to be able to do my streams again." Absolutely. Thanks for popping up. Thank you for being a member. And I'm looking forward to when you get going again. Yeet. And then Hip Hop Hillbilly said, "How hard is it to set up and keep a brine shrimp hatchery going? And is it worth it for only a tank or two?" So for a tank or two, I don't know that I would unless it was like, I have this tank. I'm specifically breeding fish in this tank, and I want to do the best I possibly can. And I want live baby brine shrimp. And then you could hatch a very, very small amount. That's the thing. That 1 liter, you could hatch as pretty much as little as you want. I wouldn't go over a tablespoon. And the reason I say that is because if I remember correctly, the Zis filter, or not filter, the Zis blender is 2 liters. And Corey had mentioned in his brine shrimp video that it like maxes out at 2 tablespoons, and like you've got to be really, really on top of it, or it's going to foul out really quick. But I don't even hatch nearly that much. I usually am like I think half a teaspoon. I don't know. I use my little co-op measury blue thing. I see Furlow back there, but I don't see him. See if I add him to stream if he's there. Eric Furlow, the circle of death. See if it comes through there. Let me get here. Regina Phalanges, good to see you. I heard you were I think it was you had to replace some tires. I'm sorry to hear that. I know that stinks. So glad to see it. I'm not the only one with collection cups hanging on the outside of tanks occupied. No, absolutely. I love these. And I guess hashtag not sponsored, but shout out because the co-op did send me. These are the little ones, but they sent me several of these, and I've bought quite a few of them. I love these things. Okay, internet is being terrible right now. I'm sorry, Eric. Furloughs Aquatics. I always love talking to you. I wish your internet had worked out. If you feel like trying it again, we're going to be on for about another 15 minutes before we roll over to good old Kitty E at T.A.N.K Aquatics. I love these things. I use them for everything. Not just fish acclimation or like this. I've got a bunch of stuff I need to put somewhere safe. Anytime I'm like trimming plants and stuff, I've got one hanging. I'm throwing plants in there. If I'm pulling algae, I'm throwing it in there. When I'm doing videos, I've got them hanging. Like I had one of these that had all of my like aquascape stuff in it that I needed for the one video, and a whole bunch of other things that I had. I even took like here's where all sorts of stuff. This room is full of stuff. Like these are all my different sizes of crushed rocks and things. So I actually had them sitting sideways on top of one of these, so that I could grab what I needed as I was filming. And here's a cool little trick. I'm not the originator of this, but that's dragonstone because that's the stone I'm using in that. And when I took it and beat it with a hammer, I beat some of it a little more than others, and you get some really small stuff because I got into like some nano decorating on that rock, and then you get some really fine powder. And that powder, along with this really, really teeny stuff, works really, really well for covering up glue seams. I think Serpent Designs is where I saw that. I know I'm going to take all of his million plus subscribers by using that trick. But it's all fish nerd stuff. It's just fish nerd stuff everywhere, especially until we move, because I wanted to get several things going prior to the move. That way, by the time I got moved, I had breeding colonies ready. So I've got, my bushy nose plecos divided out into breeding colonies again. I've got the guppies going. I've got the assassin snails, the Malaysian trumpet snails. What else? All the things. The live food cultures, one, I want them for breeding the fish, and I think they're a great thing to do. But two, I would like to have a big enough surplus so that, like if a club asks me to come give a talk, I can bring a bunch of cultures and not all the same thing and have a couple different ones. And the idea is everybody would get a culture, but everybody wouldn't get the same culture. So then within the club, they could use those cultures and cultivate them and then swap cultures between people and keep, hobbyists interacting and going and stuff like that. Let's get back to here. Regina says they are essential. Yes, absolutely. And I've got the video, but I lost half of it, and that's why it never came out. I'm trying to figure out how to use the part that I do have, because it was a multi-camera angle video. But I actually set up 4 of these. I'm not going to pull that off because the vinegar eels culture is a lot heavier on that side. But I set up 4 of them upside down and stuck a piece of wood out. And then I had one of my kids jump on it. And then I got on it and hopped on 1 foot and bounced around on top of them. And then I did drop testing from 7 feet. They didn't break. I'll let you in on the secret now to that video. They did not break. Those co-op ones are tough as nails. You can get the other ones, which is what this is, which is a little bit harder plastic. Those things like to shatter, in my experience, as soon as they hit the floor. The co-op ones don't have one I can do it with now that's empty. I've literally taken those on live streams and in the videos and just tossed them behind me through the room. Don't care. doesn't hurt. And I think there's another company that might do those as well. I just know that I always end up finding these rigid plastic ones anytime I'm at a local fish store, and it's I don't care for them. They are a little bit clearer, so if you're looking for one specifically for doing photography or videography, they are a little bit clearer. They just don't hold up as well, in my opinion. Hepa wants to know if the ink on my hand is a pleco. If not, what is it? If you don't mind, I do mind. I do mind. Quick dumb story, because I don't have anybody in the background. Quick dumb story. This was one of those things that with the chat so that I can actually see the camera, actually see myself. I'm hiding myself. It's not a pleco. It's a crescent moon with devil horns on it. It's one of those dumb things I did when I was like 18 with an ex, where we got non-identical matching tattoos. So I got this one and she got the crescent moon with the punk rock nose ring thing. And it's there. So it's there. So I don't mind telling you, but it's one of those things that you do dumb things when you're young, right? It is what it is. Life happens to all of us and everything has a reason. So hey, it's a reminder. It's a reminder of where I was and where I am now. We'll put it that way. Big Sister Rena's headed out. I'm going to head out. Thanks again for having me up, my friend. And tell Ed I say hi. Will do, absolutely. Matthew says I always wanted one of those hanging catch bins. If you ever have an extra, I will never have an extra, and I only say that because currently I have about a dozen, and I still never have enough. It's one of those things. It's like a 10mm socket. You just never have enough of them. Normally they're all hung up, and I hang them off of my 40 breeder on the top of the 40 breeder tower. So they're way up in the air, and I hang all the big ones out, and then I drop the smaller ones inside of it, and they all stay hung off the side of that one fish tank. So they're out of the way. Seems like I never have enough though. I bought some from Aquatic Aesthetics, one of Ed's local fish stores. When he had some used ones on sale at one of the Chattanooga Fish Club meetups there, where they did a swap in the parking lot. Anytime I either find them on sale or can throw a little extra money at something, I end up grabbing some of those. I love them. They're so versatile. And you can even make them into little filtration setups. Ed did an awesome video where he took, I think he did lava rock, but he did some stone, and then he did like his pothos, or he might have done a different plant, but he made like a little hang-on filtration setup, which I thought of doing before too. I just love them too much to put holes in them. Regina says the Coplins really are tough, and I break everything unintentionally. Yeah, I can be pretty rough on stuff sometimes. Bunny Viper said, "Can you keep scuds with Daphnia?" You can, yes. So you can keep them together. I don't know why I'm pushing the earbud in. I've got nobody to talk to. Nobody wanted to talk to me. That's fine. It's fine. But I've got what? Yeah, shut up, James. I've got. Look at this guy. I'm going to keep mine separate. Was the answer. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Paul Sotero. What's going on, friend?
How are you?
I'm doing well. It's been a crazy busy day, but I love it because it's all fish stuff and it's fish nerds. So, how have you been?
Hanging in there. I have some new additions upstairs in the fish room. The G'dayids I bought. I had to keep all those fish in a 5-gallon bucket because I'm out of tanks. So after I pulled them out of the quarantine and put them in the 29-gallon tank, the female dropped a load of fry.
Oh, nice.
So
Nice.
yeah, so now I am firmly in the live bearer column. This is the first.
Awesome.
I've had live bearers before. I think that when I first set up the 120, I had swordtails in there, and they bred like crazy. But once I started changing the water to keep discus in there, live bearers don't like that tank. So this is my first foray back into live bearers, and yeah, now I've got about, I don't know, I think she dropped about 20 fry, and they're big.
Oh, that's awesome.
I mean, I went
Nice.
in there to feed them one morning and said, "Where the hell they come from?" Yeah, they're big fish. Yeah, it's I'm doing my thing for the Gudaids of the world. This is the blue-tailed Gudaids is a care species.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I love that. That was one of the reasons those little live bears I got from the Triple Crown. The what's their it's Phalictus quadripunctatus. Four spot Merry Widow, I think is what the common name is.
Hmm.
They're a little live bear, and they're on. They're not on the cares list. They're on another list. Um, and that was I thought it was a cool little fish, it's live bear, and it was something that, well, like you, I'm sure you could keep it going and get it passed around. So I love to hear that. Was the point of my ramble? Was I love to
Yeah.
hear people doing stuff like that.
So how you feeling? The Rona gone?
The Rona's gone. I never really had it too bad. I wasn't even really symptomatic when I popped positive. I was coughing a little bit, but I don't talk about it much on channel. But I have smoker's cough, because I am a smoker. Kids don't smoke. It's stupid and it's bad. Don't do it. So I always have that going on. You wake up in the morning and you hack stuff up and you light a cigarette and you do dumb stuff all over again. So it wasn't really anything different. And I hadn't slept the night before because I never sleep the night before heading out to an event. I just don't, because usually we're leaving like 3 or 4 in the morning anyway. So I felt kind of in that sense, but I didn't feel like, Rona sick. But I'm like, we'll test anyways because more and more people are popping up. And sure enough, it did. Didn't get that too bad. We had scheduled it so that the day I got back from Dallas, or the day after I got back from Dallas, to go move my mom, because she's moving out to that property, or had like the little family commune going there. So immediately had to turn around and do that, like right on the edge of most of my symptoms, and I screwed my back up. And that's the point of that, was that's what's really been killing me, was that she did what she could. I had a nephew that was helping with small stuff too, but it was basically me, a dolly, and a 26-foot U-Haul to load and unload.
Sounds
with
like
hills and steps and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm not supposed to lift anything over 15 pounds anyway, though I've never gone along with that. Just from previous car accidents and back injuries and stuff. But my 9-year-old, I think that's the first time he's ever seen me cry. Like, he walked in and I was in the floor in tears and couldn't move. And he thought I was going to die. I think he's like, "Oh my God, are you okay? What's going on?" So I'm doing better from that. It's still like, I'll be glad to get out of this chair in a couple of minutes. Because it's like I haven't really been able to sleep either, because I have to like alternate every 30 minutes what my position is. Otherwise it starts to tense up. So but I'm doing pretty good. I've been able to do fish stuff. So like I've been doing some filming and stuff. So that's been helpful. And then tonight, Thursday, I love Thursdays. You all always get me in an awesome mood. And a huge thank you, Paul, for everything you do as an awesome member and moderator. And like,
I've been doing this for a while, and back in the Stone Age when there was no internet. So
right.
whatever knowledge I can share to help make it a little easier for other people, I'm glad to do that.
Well, and first off, like I said, thank you for being a moderator, but I want to grant you this badge of honor. I have a lot of moderators. Most of that's from when I first started the channel. When I first tried to live stream, the first like 4 attempts failed because I was trying a friend's Linux laptop they gave me, and I didn't know what I was doing. So all those people that kept showing up, they got wrenches. And then it was kind of like, no more wrenches. And then I still have people ask me for wrenches, and I don't give out wrenches to anybody, because I know now if I give it to one, everybody's going to want one, and I don't want to hurt people's feelings. But you are one of those people that has so consistently not only shown up, but every week you're answering people's questions in the chat. Like, you always have information you're sharing that I was like, this guy's got to have a wrench, because he's trying to help people, and like he's like, where can I send a link to help these people? And I'm like, just Do it. Come on, buddy. You're working your butt off. So thank you.
Listen,
for that.
I've killed my share of fish. So not intentionally, but we all make
all do.
mistakes, and if I can help smooth somebody else along, that's the least I can do. I got good news for you. I'm
Ooh,
getting
I like that.
well, not that I'm getting that tank that I had to leave behind in Louisville, but I found a 36 gallon bow front locally, stand, everything, for less than I would have paid for that the Cobalt tank.
Yeah.
So I'm picking it up tomorrow because I need another tank.
Nice.
I've got, like I told you, I was quarantining fish in 5-gallon buckets. So
Yeah.
my quarantine tank has fish in it that they've been living in it way too long. So I have no place to put them because it's a group of super red cockatoides, pistos, uh, and I want to set them up as a breeding colony, and I got to get them out of that 20 because I need the quarantine tank.
Right. That's awesome. I know that takes the sting off a little bit from
Yeah.
having to leave that tank behind. So
Yeah,
glad to hear that for you, my friend. I
yeah,
really
it
am.
does. But Nancy was like, okay. I showed it to her. I said, look, it's even less money. It's what? I'm on the computer. I'm talking to James. Nancy says hello.
Hi, Nancy. It was awesome to meet you.
Um, so I was looking on Facebook Marketplace, and there it was. I'm like, wow! I just jumped on it. So they're throwing everything in: lights, lids, heaters, filters. So
That's cool. I'm really glad to hear that for you because I know that was kind of like a
it,
moment when you had to leave that
yeah,
tank behind.
I,
I could
I
see it in
was
your face. You're like,
I was not a happy camper when I had to resell that tank, but
yeah,
it is what it is. I can only create so much room in a VW Beetle. So
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
so and it was either that or I put Nancy on the roof, but it's a convertible, so I don't know how that would have worked.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do, right?
That's it. So no, I got to keep marital harmony, and it was a
Yeah.
10-hour drive from Louisville back down here to Brunswick County in North Carolina. I didn't need my getting poked the whole way down.
Happy wife, happy life.
That's exactly right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Mm.
So that's basically it on my end, and I'm glad to hear you're doing well. Unfortunately, Ed's not here because look what I got.
The Buc-ee's. Yeah, I need to get one of those in my life. I thought about it the last time we were in. I stopped and he's like, "Oh, you're looking at this candy?" I'm like, "No, I'm looking at the cup. I might get one of these." Yeah.
James, I'm going to tell you something. This thing keeps stuff cold for like years.
Oh man.
It'll have ice in it. I'll have ice in it at night, and I come in the morning and pick up the cup. If I didn't finish it, there's still ice in it.
Heck yeah.
$10.
This is
It was a
the
good deal.
only reason that I didn't is because I've got this one from my LFS.
Okay.
And this was actually back before Kenny even bought the place. That's like my old school back in the day, Aquatic Marine. But I still might grab one just to keep that one a little safer. But I've gone over the time here. Stay with me for just a second. You can wave goodbye to everybody. I just have to say thank you to Carlos Diaz for the $2 super chat, saying thank you, James, for what you do. Carlos, thank you for what you do, because it's awesome people like you that keep the lights on, keep the channel running, and help keep the bills paid around here for all this fancy streaming stuff, right? And Killer Kitty 08 with the $3 super sticker saying my hero. Killer Kitty, you already know it, but you're my hero. So I appreciate you. Paul, thank you for coming up. And like I said, thank you for everything you do for the community. It's awesome. Thank you all for dropping Paul's link in there, since Paul is up here and he's not one of those people that's going to throw his own link out. So thanks, Zen, for doing that. A huge thank you to all the, where are you at? This side, moderators, members, lurkers, listeners, super chatters, contributors, questioners, commentators, and of course the replay crew. We love you guys. Go check out Kenny E at T.A.N.K Aquatics coming up next. Link is in the description. Well, it will be for the replay crew. It's in the live chat right now for everybody. Until next time, keep your fish healthy. Keep yourselves healthy. Don't be afraid to catch yourself a little fish room fever. Take care, everybody.